20. All Emily needs is a lightsaber and a black helmet. It was just getting dark as Emily slid into Ben's green Jeep Cherokee. Thanks for convincing my parents that my punishment starts tomorrow. No prob, Ben answered. He didn't give her a hello kiss, and he was blasting Fall Out Boy, who he knew Emily hated. They're kind of pissed at me. I heard. He kept his eyes on the road. Interesting that Ben didn't ask why. Maybe he already knew. Bizarrely, Emily's father had come into her room early and said, Ben's going to pick you up in 20 minutes. Be ready. Okay. Emily had thought that she was grounded for life for denouncing the swimming gods, but she had a feeling they actually wanted her to go out with Ben. Maybe he'd talk some sense into her. Emily heaved a sigh. Sorry about practice yesterday. I'm just under some stress. Ben finally turned down the volume. It's all right. You're just confused. Emily licked her just chapsticked lips. Confused? About what? I'll forgive you this time, Ben added. He reached over and squeezed her hand. Emily bristled. This time? And shouldn't he say he was sorry too? He had, after all, stormed off into the locker room like a baby. They pulled through the Khan's open iron wrought gates. The property was set back from the road, so the driveway was half a mile long and surrounded by tall, thick pines. Even the air smelled cleaner. The red brick house sat behind massive Doric columns. It had a portico with a little horse statue on top, and a gorgeous all-glass sunroom off to the side. Emily counted 14 windows on the second floor, from one end to the other. But the house didn't matter tonight. They were going to the field. It was set way off from the property by high British racing green hedges and a stone wall, and went on for acres. Half of it housed the Khan's horse farm. On the other side were a large lawn and a duck pond. Surrounding the whole yard were thick woods. As Ben parked the car in a makeshift grass parking lot, Emily climbed out, hearing the killers blasting from the backyard. Familiar faces from the rosewood climbed out of their jeeps, escalades, and sobs. A group of immaculately made-up girls took cigarette packs out of their little chain-linked quilted bags and lit up, talking on their tiny cell phones. Emily looked down at her worn blue Converse All-Star and touched her messy ponytail. Ben caught up with her, and they cut through the hedges and across a secluded stretch of woods, the entry to the party zone. There were a lot of kids Emily didn't know, but that was because the Khans invited the all-it kids from areas of other private schools, in addition to Rosewood. There was a keg and drinks by the bushes, and they'd set up a wooden dance floor, tiki lights, and tents in the middle of the field. On the other side of the field, near the woods, there was an old-school photo booth lined up with Christmas lights. The Khans dragged it out of their basement for this party every year. Noel greeted them. He wore a gray t-shirt that said, We'll flex for food, ripped up, faded blue jeans, and no socks or shoes. What's up? He handed them both a beer. Thanks, man. Ben took his cup and started drinking. The amber beer messily dribbled down his chin. Nice party. Someone tapped Emily on the shoulder. Emily turned. It was Arya Montgomery, wearing a tight, faded red University of Iceland t-shirt, a frayed denim mini, and red John cowboy boots. Her black hair was pulled into a ponytail. Wow, hi, Emily. She heard Arya was back, but she hadn't seen her yet. How's Europe? Awesome, Arya smiled. The girls looked at each other for a few seconds. Emily paused, wanting to tell Arya that she was glad she ditched her fake nose ring and pink hair strips, but wondered if it would be weird to make a reference to their old friendship. She took a sip of beer and pretended to be fascinated with the ridges on the cup. Arya fidgeted. Listen, I'm glad you're here. I've been wanting to talk to you. You have? Emily met her eyes and then looked back down. Well, either you or Spencer. Really? Emily felt her chest tighten. Spencer? So promise me you won't think I'm crazy. I've been away for such a long time, and Arya made a puckered face that Emily remembered well. It meant she was considering her words carefully. And what? Emily raised her eyebrows, waiting. Maybe Arya wanted all her old friends to have a reunion. Of course, being away, she wouldn't have known how far apart they'd grown. How uncomfortable would that be? Well, Arya looked around warily. Was there any more news about Allie's disappearance while I was away? Emily jerked back, hearing Allie's name come out of her old friend's mouth. Her disappearance? What do you mean? Like, did they ever find out who took her? Did she ever come back? No. Emily chewed on her thumbnail uncomfortably. Arya leaned into Emily. Do you think she's dead? Emily's eyes widened. I don't know why. Arya set her jaw. She looked deep in thought. What's this about? Emily asked, her heart pounding. Nothing. Then Arya's eyes focused on something behind her. She clamped her mouth shut. Hey, said a gravelly voice behind Emily. Emily turned. Maya. Hey, she answered, nearly dropping her cup. I didn't know you were coming. I didn't either, Maya said, but my brother wanted to. He's here somewhere. Emily turned to introduce Arya, but she was gone. So, is this Maya? Ben reappeared next to them. The girl that turned Emily to the dark side. Dark side? Emily squeaked. What dark side? Quitting swimming, Ben answered. He turned to Maya. You know she's quitting, right? You are? Maya turned to Emily and grinned excitedly. Emily shot Ben a look. Maya didn't have anything to do with that, and we don't have to talk about it now. Ben took another sip of beer. Why not? Isn't it your big news? I don't know. Whatever. He clamped his heavy hand on her shoulder a little roughly. I'm going to get another beer. You want another? Emily nodded, even though she'd only ever drank one beer at parties, max. Ben didn't ask Maya if she wanted a drink. As he walked away, she noticed his saggy jeans. Yuck. Maya took Emily's hand and squeezed. How's it feel? Emily stared at their entwined hands, blushed, but she kept holding on. Good, or scary, or it's someone's like a bad movie. Confusing, but good. I have just the same thing to celebrate with, Maya whispered. She reached into her Manhattan portage knapsack and showed Emily the top of a Jack Daniels bottle. Stole it from the liquor table. Want to help kill it with me? Emily glazed at Maya. Her hair was pulled off her face, and she wore a simple black sleeveless shirt and an army green camo shirt. She looked effervescent and fun. Way more fun than Ben in his saggy butt jeans. Why not? She answered and followed Maya towards the woods.